The Simpsons Hit and Run was part of everyone's childhood and is what people think of when they hear the words Simpsons game. More so than the actual Simpsons game. But not me. I didn't have Simpsons Hit and Run growing up. I played Simpsons Road Rage. I feel like Simpsons game discourse, not to be confused with Simpsons game discourse, mainly singles out Hit and Run as the good one, which is fair. Being a spiritual successor to the earlier Road Rage, Hit and Run improved upon it in basically every aspect and overshadows it completely. But does Road Rage deserve a second look? Was there more to it than meets the eye? Is there any reason to play it almost 25 years later? No. Hit and Run has often been labeled a GTA clone, or GTA for kids. Similarly, Road Rage was heavily inspired by Crazy Taxi. But if Road Rage outdoes its successor in anything, it's being a clone. I'm seeing double here, 4 Crazy Taxis. But we'll get to that later. Let's start with the story. Oh. I wouldn't really even describe Road Rage as having a story, it's more like an impetus. You start with the beginning cutscene, which shows a bit of Simpsons humor.
Please kill me.
That poor man. I hope someone does kill him.
Reveals that Mr. Burns has bought out the bus system and switched it to run on nuclear power, meaning it's up to Homer and the other residents of Springfield to run their own taxis. Sprinkled throughout the game are additional cutscenes of Mr. Burns and a final scene at the end of the game. I know cutscenes are expensive, but I always wished it had more with characters besides Mr. Burns. While the story definitely leaves more to be desired, I think it serves as a good foundation. The greedy Mr. Burns is a great antagonist for the player to work against, and his enormous wealth justifies the amount of money the player will have to make. Besides that, there are the missions, whose stories have all the flavor of a saltine. But honestly, I've always preferred the missions because they actually have some stories that I could imagine being in an episode. My favorite is the second mission where Bart has to drive Homer from an Isotopes game back to work, though it's painfully easy. But now it's time to move on to the second thing you notice about the game, the controls. They're fine. Pretty standard racing controls, A to go forward, B to go back, yada yada, trigger plays a funny horn. Overall, the game feels alright with an Xbox controller. For Xbox. Yes, and you say Xbox despite the fact it is obviously PlayStation. You know, the one thing I should... Excuse me for 1 second. Regarding gameplay, you mainly do Road Rage, where your character drives the citizens of Springfield to different locations from the show. Hey, wait a minute. It's Crazy Taxi, it's just Crazy Taxi. Like it has a Simpsons coat of paint, but they're virtually the same. Now there are 6 maps you can drive in with 18 characters to play as, with each having their own vehicle. Though it's a little weird because Homer has 2 versions. His regular self and Mr. Plow. Making it even more confusing is the fact that normal Homer can drive 2 cars, the family sedan and the car built for Homer, which is unlocked after beating all the missions. Now each character's vehicle drives a little differently, which is cool, but there's no sort of stats menu or something that helps convey which cars are best at doing what. Some cars, like the book burning mobile, are basically useless because they drive like shit. Maybe the game could reward you differently for driving different vehicles, but as is, I just found myself sticking to the same ones. There's also a total of 28 characters to drive around in each map, consisting of 7 characters in addition to the 18 playable ones. Pedestrians are modeled after other characters in the show, like Super Nintendo Chalmers and Rabbi Krastovsky. Wait, Rabbi Krastovsky? Yeah, some of the character selection is bizarre and who is included and who isn't. This extends to the playable characters too. Like, who wants to play as Reverend Lovejoy or Professor Frink? Most of the time, I just played as Homer or other more relevant characters. At its core, the gameplay is very simple. Pick up a passenger, take them to their destination as quickly as possible, repeat. The faster you are, the more money you make and the extra seconds you get. Occasionally, there are bonuses when driving certain passengers that provide extra cash and time. The first is to avoid traffic, which means you can't hit more than 2 cars on your way. This one is easy enough and provides some variety in that you have to mitigate the chaos that happens on the average drive. The other is called Road Rage, where you have to destroy a given amount of objects on the map, including pedestrians, to win a $1,000 bonus. I think this one is more frustrating though because with longer drives, the objects required can increase to unreasonable numbers. At a certain point, it's barely possible to complete the drive and destroy all the objects. And these objects don't respawn too, so once you've been driving long enough, there won't be anything left to hit. The Road Rage bonus should encourage players to deviate from normal driving and be a little more reckless on the way to the destination, though in practice it often leads to the drive becoming secondary or is completely ignored. Another mechanic designed to shake up gameplay is hostile vehicles, those being Burns' limo and nuclear buses. Out of the two, Burns' limo is worse. That is to say, it sucks ass out of a bendy straw. The car ramming is more annoying than engaging. If it actually led to a car crash, I think it'd at least be more wacky and could make recovering from that a needed skill for the game. But it doesn't. His car just rams yours straight on and brings all momentum to a halt. It's boring. It's not even actually dynamic, because you soon notice that it only occurs in certain parts of each map and can easily be avoided. And at that point, why even have the mechanic in the first place? I vastly prefer the nuclear buses, which are more low-key and serve as decent obstacles. You drive alongside a bunch of them in each map, which serves to remind you of the game's bare-bones story. But they'll move to try to block you from where you want to go, and their large size makes it a challenge to maneuver around them. They're not perfect and can get very annoying, but they're still much better than Burns' limo. However, one of my biggest gripes with Road Rage is that it seems to punish you for playing longer. As mentioned before, destroyed objects don't respawn, but they also aren't cleared away either. So what you're left with is a bunch of clutter on the roads that gets in the way of your drive. And while this could be potentially interesting, like your mistakes or choices earlier have consequences later, it isn't. It just feels like something the developers left in to make the game feel more crazy. Taxi. Oh yeah! So comparing Road Rage and Crazy Taxi is like night and day. Crazy Taxi is extremely frenetic. Cars drive fast and crashing into stuff, while not optimal, doesn't do much to slow you down. Road Rage, on the other hand, feels sluggish by comparison. You hit the tiniest little object and you're about to a crawl. Sometimes you hit a curb or nothing at all and you're immediately stopped, though I've heard this is mainly a problem with the PS2 version. And in Crazy Taxi, you constantly earn money for different aspects of your driving, which not only provides an easy way to make money, but also makes driving feel instantly rewarding. I guess what I'm trying to say is that Crazy Taxi actually provides you with a sense of arcade fun, while Road Rage is just its pale imitator. Oh, about that. Yeah, so Sega sued the creators of Road Rage for patent infringement, which makes sense. It's even crazier given that Road Rage released the same year as Crazy Taxi and its sequel were released on PS2. Apparently the case was settled out of court for an undisclosed sum, so Road Rage would go on to live another day. And we can thank God for that, because we're nearing the end, which brings us to the worst part of Simpsons Road Rage. It is incredibly grindy, which makes sense since it's basically an arcade game. The main objective is to make $1 million in order to stop Mr. Burns, which kinda seems like a reasonable endpoint, but in gameplay it requires an enormous amount of time for what is an extremely simple game. So your choice is either to memorize the routes and shortcuts to collect as much cash as you can, or
Please don't tell anyone how I live.
however you choose to make your money, you will eventually get to $1 million and finally confront Mr. Burns.
I've had it with you people complaining about my scary, glowing buses. I haven't seen a display of civil disobedience this contemptible since the Summer of Love. You want the transit system back? Then take it. But don't think for a moment that you've seen the last of Monty Burns.
That's it? That's the end of the game? There's no part with Homer and the town victorious or anything, we're still stuck in that damn office. You don't even get any sort of reward like you do when you complete the missions. I never got this far when I was a kid, so I'd imagine what the ending would be like. I thought that you would get Burns' limo and then you could drive that around, but no. For the amount of grinding that you have to do, this ending is really disappointing, which can be said for a lot of parts of this game. So is the Simpsons Road Rage really that bad? No, it's perfectly cromulent. I just wouldn't go out of my way to recommend it to anyone. Though if you had to play it, I definitely recommend the Xbox version, as the version on PS2 suffers from janky collision detection and has abysmal load times. But so what if Simpsons Road Rage isn't the best Simpsons game, or really a good game in general? Without it, we wouldn't have what many regard to be the best Simpsons game there is. It may not be the most well-designed game, but Road Rage walked so Simpsons could hit and run. It's been years, but it's time to move on from Simpsons Road Rage. I may not have grown up with it, but it's finally time to play Simpsons Hit and Run, goddammit.